If you've known anything about the On Cloudboom Echo shoe, the racing shoe for On, any of the previous iterations, forget what you knew. Those shoes were a different animal than this one. Come along with me, we'll talk about it. This shoe is basically should have a new name. It should be a different shoe. It's a totally different beast. It uses different foams, different technologies. It's geared for essentially the same athletes, but really, the runners who are wearing this shoe today, the elites, they weren't wearing that previous shoe. It was just not in a league with these super shoes. And that's what the Cloudboom Echo 3 is. It's a super shoe. It's On's first true super shoe. And why is that? Pebax, folks. I say every shoe should have Pebax from now on. Once you experience the miracle of that foam, you can't go back. EVA is dead for me. If you have EVA in a shoe, I'm almost gonna guarantee I'm not wearing it anymore. Now, there are some other formulations of foams that work really well. I still like a TPE or a TPU. Think of like Adidas Boost. It's heavy, but on an easy run, I love it. Pebax is light, it's bouncy, it's springy, it's resilient. You squish it, it bounces back to its shape when you get off it, and it's ready for the next landing. And it's light, that's the beauty of it. So it gives you all the cushioning, gives you lots of energy return, and it can be put into a race shoe. Those were three characteristics you never used to be able to get with the other foams. You had to pick two. Now we get it all. And it's in this shoe. Finally, and I say finally because if you've ever looked at an On and you know On, you know the distinctive characteristic of an On, right? It was those little tubes under the foot, those little clouds that they use. And that was, I don't want to say their gimmick, but that was their identifying characteristic. That was their cushioning technology. They had to have it. And if you look at any shoe company that's broken in recently into the space, they all had something that was different. Take Ultra. Ultra was zero drop, still is zero drop. Ultra, they had to have it. The foot-shaped shoe also helped, the wide toe box, right? That was one of their things. But zero drop is what they were known for. Now I'm saying, you add 6-8 inches or 6-8 millimeters of drop, you're gonna get a lot more people into Ultras. VF Corp, listen up, you'll sell more shoes. But Ultra's defining characteristic was zero drop. You had others, Speedland on the trails. It's a premium product. They picked the most expensive things off the shelf. They didn't have an adult in the room to give them a budget because they were like, we're gonna build the most expensive, most beautiful, most premium trail shoe we can. And they did, and people like it. We can even take a brand like Atreyu. If you don't know Atreyu, they came out and they wanted to make a mail order, subscription-based program for their shoes. And the way they did it is they made them way cheaper than everybody else. They were different than everybody. On has been around for a long time, but they were different than everybody. They had a look. Now, those clouds, I liked the concept initially. It was an empty space. When you landed, the top and the bottom of the clouds would make contact. And then it would be a firmer platform for pushing off. So they had a cushioning idea in mind. The original shoes just didn't work. They were awful. And I say that awful in hindsight. They were heavy, really bottom heavy because they used rubber. And what we know about rubber, the more you add, the more weight you have. And so they never had quite the cushioned feel you wanted from a shoe. They couldn't deliver anything like a Cumulus, Nimbus, Hoka, not even close. And they certainly weren't gonna be able to play in the performance space with some of the racing shoes with that. And they found foams, multiple iterations of the shoes, they used foams. And now some of the shoes they have out, they're leveraging these great new foams. And the cushioning is a heck of a lot better. And those clouds look a lot different too because you have to build more structure into the cloud. You can't just have such a big void when you have that soft foam that's compressing. The Cloudboom Echo 3, it's got some nods to that original cushioning with some weird little shapes around the edges, but it doesn't have any of that. It's Pebax, folks. It is a slab of foam because these foams work so well. Now you look at the side of the shoe and you definitely go, hey, that's an On. It's got the Cloudtec. I think it's even written on the side of the shoe, but it's not. It's built like a more traditional super shoe. Now, any good super shoe, besides that great lightweight foam, it's gonna have a great carbon fiber plate too, right? Well, this one does, and it's stiff as heck. If you don't like a stiff shoe, we got it. We're just going across the bridge from Hugh Moore Park here. Hugh Moore, I think he ran Dixie Cup. The Dixie Cup factory was here where my house and our office, which is kind of fun. So we have a great little park and a path here, which is where I test a lot of these shoes. And I take my camera people along. So if you run a carbon plated shoe, you know they're gonna be stiff. The On Cloudboom Echo 3 is stiff. It is really, really stiff. And the Pebax is tuned pretty firm compared to a lot of super shoes. It's not a soft experience underfoot, but I like the forefoot. It really has a good toe spring. It's got a good upward curve. So when you get to your toes, you don't have that hard lever that you're trying to work against. You've already got everything stored up and ready to go, and it lets you push off pretty okay, especially when you build up speed. Now, I'm not building up speed today. We're running 8-minute pace right now, which is my everyday jog. I don't usually talk so much on my everyday jogs, but it's my everyday pace. And even at this, I'm okay with it. I don't mind a little bit of a firm shoe. I don't need a super soft shoe. I like cushioning these days. I'm getting a little older. But if you don't like a firm shoe, if you're expecting a really soft ride, like some of these new super shoes that are coming out, you know, you're not gonna get that in this shoe. It's stiff, it's snappy. Now, if you know previous On shoes though, it doesn't have that same hard underfoot feeling. On used a Speedboard, which I really like the concept. It made the shoe snappy. They always sort of had a plate built in there, but it was a hard base right underneath the sock liner. And it really provided good stability too in the shoe. I liked it a lot. It's gone really, because you don't need it with a carbon fiber plate. That creates a little bit softer step-in feel. Step-in feel is when you first put that shoe on and you get that sense like, oh, I'm gonna love this shoe. Some companies play the war on the floor. They'll use nice soft fabrics at all the touch points. So when you grab that shoe, you put it on, you step in it, oh, you're just sold. And the experience when you run may be different. This shoe, you step in, you know what you're getting. It's got a good feel, but it's not gonna wow you. You're not gonna be like, oh, this is, you know, super, super soft. Where it is gonna wow you, however, is this track spike-like upper. It is really a flimsy looking upper when you're going to put the shoe on. There's no real structure to it, but it's sturdy. When you lace that thing up, it pulls into my midfoot really nicely. I mean, like a racing shoe should. And the forefoot opens up generously. I've got a pretty decent tight arch area of my foot. I don't have really wide feet, but my forefoot is a little bit roomier. So I appreciate that structure, that build there that I get. It just kind of opens up. So I don't get any irritation when I'm pushing it hard. But you can see right through this white mesh. I'm wearing pink socks again. I love pink socks. But I can see my pink socks through the top of the shoe. And you know, then it's got the classic On design. The one thing that's undeniable about this shoe is it's an On shoe. If you look at it, even if it doesn't have the Cloudtec, it has all the visual cues of On. I mean, forget the fact that it has the big logo on it, but it's just refined. When you pick up an On shoe and you look at it, the craftsmanship is just spot on. Everything is where it's meant to be. Everything is well thought out. It's finely tailored. I mean, it's beautiful construction. And I often think, how do I compare it? I like to play guitars. Here about 8 miles away, we have Martin Guitar, legendary American manufacturer. Everybody knows them. They've been the benchmark, the standard for acoustic guitars for decades. They're good. They're really good. They're expensive. They sound great. Then you get these boutique builders like Collings Guitars out of Austin, Texas. You pay twice the price that you would for a Martin for a guitar that was inspired by them, but is everything just beautiful. The craftsmanship is excellent. You don't see any drops of glue, nothing. I mean, everything is just where you expect it to be. Flawless execution, all handcrafted. I liken these shoes, On shoes, to something like that. You know, you're gonna pay a premium for a product that is built to those specifications. And you're gonna pay a premium for these shoes. Now, I gripe about the price of shoes. I get them for free. I'm testing shoes. I shouldn't be griping, but I still do because you gotta buy them. You gotta pay for them. And I understand the things I gotta pay for, I gripe about. And you gotta buy shoes. And they're getting expensive. Average shoe used to be 120 bucks. You know, 160 is now one of the things that we're just kind of accepting. I blame Nike. I've said it before. They made a great shoe. They priced it 250 bucks. I don't know the economics of it and whether or not they had to or they just put it out there. But that's what everybody followed. If you don't have a $250 shoe, your shoe isn't as good as theirs, right? That's just the mentality of it. Consumers are gonna say, well, if it's cheaper, it's not as good of a shoe. There are great shoes less than that. And there are some shoes that are costing more than that. I mentioned Speedland. Their trail shoes are ridiculously expensive. You can get 2 or 3 pairs for the price of one of theirs. These shoes, same deal. These are $289.99. 290 bills for a pair of shoes. That is bananas. Now that's a pair of Vaporflies and a steak dinner if that's your thing. It's crazy. Would I spend $290 on these? I don't know. I mean, I guess you got to get in them, see if none of the other super shoes worked for you and this was the only option. Or maybe you like the aesthetic. Maybe you want to support that European brand that's cracking into the market. There's all kinds of calculations you could make for whether or not it's a value, good value for you. I'm just saying, man, that's a lot of change. And you know, it's kind of the reality of our world. Good performing products are gonna cost you a bunch. So, I mean, that's the thing I'm gonna say about this is it's not one of those shoes that was just put out there as it's gotta be expensive so we can say it's good. It's good. On has actually thrown a bunch of money at athletes. They have track and road runners who are lighting up the fields right now. They have a coach, Nathan Ritzenhein, who's like a legend in the sport. They know what they're doing performance-wise with athletes, and the athletes need a pair of shoes. They need something that's gonna work for them. They built some track spikes that are working. They finally got this thing up off the ground, and it's a true competitor to some of the other products out there. And I will say, if you're gonna plunk down the cash, it's gonna work for you. I'm getting tired, it's hot and humid out here. So I was running an 8-minute pace today, and I'm in the On Cloudboom Echo 3, and it's not designed for 8-minute pace really, but I like it. I like to run things at all paces, and I've done workouts in it. I've done some quicker things, and that's really where it shines. But it's no slouch at, you know, an 8-minute effort. It really feels good, even just on, you know, my everyday jogs. Now I'm saying if you're gonna pay $290, you probably don't want to put a bunch of junk miles into a pair of shoes like this, but it can handle it. It's just comfortable. We got other testers in the shoes, so we're gonna continue to put more miles on it. I'm gonna talk to them and find out what they liked about the shoe, and we're gonna bring even more to you when we pull together a full review.